Klaus Ludwig now at the controls, and there's the second place car, number 14, Al Holbert.
Al running strongly, but there's a long way to go. The probe is going very, very well. Klaus Ludwig driving it sensibly. They're not going too fast. I'm sure they're all well. There we see number 10 car blocking Al Holbert as they go to pass in the infield there. One of the problems in this sort of racing is that you have to pass a lot of people a lot of times. Given a little bit more of a lead to Klaus Ludwig, who has about a 2-second lead now over Al Holbert.
Remember, that's a fresh motor they installed just this morning. If you're just joining us, this car was the last car on the grid. It made the start by seconds, or it would have been a DNS in today's race.
I'm sure that Klaus Ludwig is hoping very much that the mechanics managed to tighten up all the required nuts, bolts, hoses, pipes, wires, etc. before starting off on this 310-mile race. It looks very steady around that banking, that probe, extremely steady over that transition from the 24-degree banking to the front straight, where everybody else is weaving around a little bit. It looks pretty stable there.
Well, these cars on that banking, they'll tell you it's one of the roughest rides that they've had on any course. It really gets their attention.
Well, of course, the difference between these and, say, the stock cars as they go around the banking, apart from the fact that these are going about 25 miles an hour quicker than the stock cars, is that their weight goes up tremendously, not just with centrifugal force and gravity, but of course the ground effect is that it's most effective at that high speed.
The Probe Mustang's predecessor was plagued by bugs. Does Klaus Ludwig have faith in this new machine that's leading?
The only thing we can do is keep fingers crossed. The car is very new, and I hope we solved all our problems.
Apparently have the problem solved, even the late ones this morning for Klaus Ludwig. Out in front from Bonn, Germany, and car number 7 whipping down into the north banking once again, about 180 miles per hour into that 24-degree banking.
Well, more than that, more like 190, maybe even more than that, 195 miles. Now, just going to try and go on to one of the Leon brothers here. Always a slightly scary proposition as they go across the start-finish line. I noticed that already a lot of the back markers are doing exactly what they were told not to do in the driver's briefing this morning, and that is wander from side to side of the road, try and stick to the lanes, which are all clearly marked here at Charlotte. At least they have that advantage, but I noticed they're already wandering all over the road, which makes passing back markers very hazardous because you don't know where they're going to wander to next.
14 laps have been completed. It's still the Ford Probe in front. Al Holbert is in second. Halsmer runs in third. And we have Haywood now running in fourth. Busby is in fifth. More in a moment. From our Superstation helicopter, you're looking at the Charlotte Grand Prix, this 2.25-mile course. Meandering through the infield of the 1.5-mile super speedway, where right now Ford is trying to make history. In only the second performance of the Probe car, it is leading over the Porsche 962s from Germany. Al Holbert's car is running in second. The Halsmer Morton car is third. The Jaguar of Brian Redman has come to fourth, and he is being challenged at the present time by the Jim Busby BFG Porsche 962. There's your leader, number 7, down that long back straightaway into turn 3 of the super speedway, turn 8 of this road course.
And the car still running very strongly up there, and you see he can go very low on the banking there, hold a good tight line, and I assume he's not stressing his tires too much by doing that. And he's holding about a 2-second lead over Al Holbert, which at the moment is obviously pretty meaningless, but it's nice to have all the same.
Let's go to Dave Despang.
And a good story developing here in the Camel Light competition. As a matter of fact, we've just this moment been advised of a position swap. We'll get to that in a moment. The good story is at the top. The leaders in this race, Bill Alsop currently in the car. We took a tour of the track with him at the top of the show. His co-driver, John Morgan, is recovering from a broken shoulder, so he's got a problem to confront when he gets into the car. That was a Camel GTP machine that has been downsized to a Camel Light. They put a smaller engine in it, and they're having a pretty good run right now because they're leading the division. The change in positions moved 75 up to second spot with Young and Klein at the wheel, and the 93 machine has fallen to third. That's the Marsh Pauley entry.
There's the story on the Camel Light category, as that car that won at Laguna Seca, that number 6 car, is running well again today here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Klaus Ludwig, car number 7, stays up in the front running position through the banking another time. right up against the wall as you come down out of turn number 4 of the super speedway, come across the start-finish line in high gear, then into the brakes, you downshift all the way down to make this turn number 1, as Busby and Bill Alsop were pointing out to you in our course description earlier.
Well, these cars, of course, with the ground effects, develop tremendous braking ability. I mean, they'll brake at about 3.5 Gs, which is quite a lot when you're sitting in that car braking, and it's amazing just how quickly they will stop, because almost braking is infinite, because the faster you go, the more the ground effects are, the more it pushes it on the road, and the more it'll stop when you want it to. And going into this turn here is obviously a pretty good experience for these guys. Bill Adam is still about just over 33 seconds behind, so he's holding station with those leading cars, not making up ground, he's making up positions, and he's now up to 7th.
All right, here's the battle that's now developing. There you see the Jim Busby BF Goodrich car, number 67, second place finisher in Riverside, California, and he's closing a little here on car number 04. That's the Brian Redmond Jaguar V12.
That was Hurley Haywood putting a wheel on the edge there. And now we'll probably see it. They're just about to come out onto the banking as they go over this big bump. You watch it bump, see, right there. And this is where he'll make up ground on that Jaguar. He'll use the Jaguar's draft, just like the NASCAR cars do on this long straight. Plus, he's got more top-end horsepower, so he'll probably catch him up and maybe even pass him down this back straight.
That's the 5th place car, trying to close on the 4th place car, the V12. The XJR5 Jaguar, now being driven by Hurley Haywood. Here they are out of...
Hurley getting just a little bit blocked there.
Just a tad.
By one of the Leon brothers, number 22. That's a Porsche engine March.
Here they are to that slow part of the course.
Now there's a bit of bad luck for the Porsche. The March got between him and the Jaguar, and that's going to put him further behind, because that's a very critical place, because this is where the Jaguar is quicker than the March, than the Porsche anyway, through this infield. The Jaguar V12, full 6 litres, has a lot of torque in this sort of corner, and as you can see, he's pulled out quite a substantial amount. There's just those 3 corners.
Shifts per lap on this track, would you estimate?
Oh, probably 15 or 16 per lap. Unless you jump gears. I always jump gears. I don't make all the downshifts. When I'm downshifting, I go from 5th to 2nd or whatever gear I require, which sort of cheats a little bit.
Back with the leader once again, and you're seeing car number 4. That's the Carson Bear car, about to be lapped by number 7, Klaus Ludwig, the leader, and right behind him, the 2nd place car is Al Holbert.
Now that move there of Klaus Ludwig's cutting that corner quite that severely is sort of, you know, you don't need that in a 500-kilometer race, because that's the sort of thing that gives you a flat tire. You pick up a puncture, you bend a wheel rim. It's just not called for.
The leader in the GTL class, the Camel Light class, is just 2 cars up. You see that number 6, that's the Alsop car. And then the number 4 is the Carson Baird, Billy Hagan. Billy Hagan must be torn today. His driver, Terry Lamonti, up at Dover, Delaware. We hope to give you a report of the finish of that before we're finished this afternoon.
There's the probe drafting up behind that Chevrolet. They passed the Camel Light car. Let's put another lap down on him. Here's the probe trying to probe his way past that Chevrolet engine Lola, which is going surprisingly fast down the back straight. Carson Baird holding him off for another whole lap, unless Klaus Ludwig can put one on him going through here on the brakes.
Carson Baird with 11 IMSA victories. Many remember him from his Ferrari days. Pulls over, and there is Klaus Ludwig with the Ford Probe staying out in front. Now Holbert will have to deal with that car number 4.
This may give Klaus Ludwig a little bit of a break on the infield here, although that Carson Baird car really close behind him as they come to these tight infield corners. The superior torque of that big Chevrolet V8 telling over the small engine turbocharged car in the Pro engine in the Pro.
21 of 138 laps have been completed, with the Ford Probe staying in front, the Porsche of Al Holbert in 2nd, Alsmer is in 3rd, the Jaguar is in 4th, and there you see Brian Redmond at it again with car number 67 as they continue their dice further back in the field. That's the 4th position scramble that's going on, and the Hurley Haywood in car number 04, the Redmond Haywood car battling with the Porsche 962, the BF Goodrich car.
The BF Goodrich car, of course, having a sort of street radial tire fitted to it. They look pretty like racing tires to me, but they assure me the design is based on their street radial. Now this is where the Porsche is going to pull away from the Jaguar. Once they get off this banking and it really gets itself into gear, it'll pull away.
6-cylinder turbo-powered Porsche beginning to get some length going down the back straightaway. The V12 Jaguar comes after him once again.
V12's got tremendous torque, very drivable in traffic, fabulous to drive on a really twisty course. It's twisty all the way.
Here's the leader, and he's up to lap Collision's car. Here comes Al Holbert, who's moved around the Carson Baird number 4 car. Klaus Ludwig putting a lap on the Collision car. The infield portion, of course, his Chevy marks, Collision going to lap, or Porsche marks, going a lap down.
So there's one of the things this is doing all the time is Klaus Ludwig's keeping somebody between him and his immediate pursuer, Al Holbert, car number 14, at all times. He keeps on nipping around people and leaving Al Holbert hung out to dry with some backmark between them.
The leader, Klaus Ludwig, working lap 23 here. Should be a little more than midway to his first pit stop. He's going to have to stop significantly more early than the second place car. We look for a pit stop from the 7-Eleven probe on lap 40, while Al Holbert says they'll stay out probably 20 more laps than that. So we could see a lead change on the pit stop, all else remaining equal.
To complete his 23rd lap, his car number 7, and it is Klaus Ludwig, who drove for Ford back in the early 70s. Michael Kranifus discovering his talent and bringing him along after he had started with BMW briefly. Then he went to the Porsche team. There's Al Holbert looking for that win number 34. Will it happen at Charlotte today? That's the question that we'll have resolved at the end of 500 kilometers in the Charlotte Grand Prix. It is Ludwig still in front. Al Holbert maintaining the 2nd spot. Then the BF Goodrich car runs in 3rd. Jaguars are 4th and 5th. Jim Busby falling to 5th. More from Charlotte after this.
For the Charlotte Grand Prix, Klaus Ludwig continues to lead, but right now we're talking to John Paul Jr. John, your car started 2nd, fell back there with a spin early on. What was the problem?
Well, from what I can gather, he got boxed in the infield there and ran off the road and spun it around.
Is there going to necessitate an early pit stop for you guys?
No, we're still going to run the same strategy. We've been doing the lap times versus Holbert, and he seems to be running the same speed. We're just quite a ways down, so try and run a conservative boost pressure and try and get the fuel mileage and come in the same time Al does, and hopefully we'll get a yellow and be able to catch back up and be running with the front.
Is it tough to wait your turn?
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Well, he's got a long ways to go, it sounds like.
Well, Jerry, they pulled it within 36 seconds of the leader, and that car number 45 is now being shown as 6th overall. They've just passed Busby and Knoop in the BF Goodrich car, and they're closing on the 12-cylinder Jaguar of Tullius and Robinson, number 44 at this point. Dave Despain?
Strategy, Ken, would be something new for this team. They've not been conservative this year. John Paul and Bill Adam have had that car on the front row 6 times this year, and they've run it hard, but it's been a hand grenade all year. The engine has been pretty solid, but they've had a lot of other finishing problems. Their conservative strategy matches with the strategy of the 2nd place car. Al Holbert is going to try to go the distance as well on the fuel that he has here with just 1 pit stop, and that's going to be key. How many stops do you have to make to finish?
Well, there we saw Bill Adam. Here we see the leader now, the 7-Eleven car of Klaus Ludwig, who is about 42 seconds in front of that March Buick now, Bill Adam and John Paul Jr. But that's still not catastrophic at this stage of the race.
The Ford Mustang Probe, 3rd generation of prototype race cars from Ford, built by Zaxby of USA over the past 12 months, and in its 2nd performance. It is now leading here as you watch it live on Superstation WTBS. The only car of its kind in the world, the Probe, another one being constructed now. This car will then become the Mule, and when the 3rd car is finished off, we'll see a regular team that will feature in prototype racing Lynn St. James, who certainly proved to everyone yesterday her right to campaign with these, the most exotic sports cars in the world.
Well, there we saw old Klausy baby getting his tail out just a little bit there. Al Holbert stalking right behind him. This fuel business, of course, is becoming very interesting in this race now.
Battle for 4th right here. There it is, and there is the Hurley Haywood car closing in. Haywood moving in.
No, I think that's Bob Tullius, actually. That's the Bob Tullius car.
The Tullius car.
Closing in on the 68 car of Pete Holzman. Meanwhile, the Hurley Haywood car has gone on past him, and there he goes by him. You see that superior torque coming out of that tight corner? Whistles by him on that infield straight there. Gets in front of him now. What he needs to do, of course, is in the next 2 corners, this long right hand and then the left one following it. He needs to get enough space between him and the Porsche to stop the Porsche, repass him down the back straight, because that is where it's definitely quicker.
Tullius in the Jaguar to 4th. And the Halsmer Morton car falls to 5th. Leader remains the Ford. Holbert Bell 2nd. Redmond Haywood in the 04 Jaguar, running in third overall.
Yeah, these Jaguars are tough to beat when it comes to the race. They don't qualify quite as well as the Porsches, and here is definitely not their type of track because of the long straights. There we see the leader again. Klaus Ludwig coming up to lap Bob Aiken and his Porsche, another 962, very popular car in this series. The best off-the-peg racer in the world. You buy it, it comes in a truck, you take it out of the truck, you put it on the racetrack, and you can go and win races. Art Stuck put that red Coca-Cola car that's just out of the picture now. Here we see it again. He put that on the pole at Sebring with a record shafting speed, and it was a brand new car. There we see Klaus Ludwig putting the lap down, and here's Holbert following close behind.
The second Ford driver is standing by with Jerry Garrett right now.
Here in the shade. Doc, how do you feel today?
Well, I could feel better. I have a little bit of a stomach virus, but I feel real good about the car right now. She's running like a top.
It didn't look that way early this morning. It looked like a real end zone catch to even get into the race.
Yeah, that's true. We had an oil pressure problem and a high oil temperature, and we discussed it with the crew, and they decided they wanted to change it. We didn't ask for that, but that's what they wanted to do, so they took a gamble, and so far it's paid off.
Well, what's the strategy for the team on fuel stops and for tire stops?
Well, he hasn't. I talked to the crew chief right after the beginning of the race. He told me at that time he hadn't had a chance to work out our fuel mileage, but we're looking at around 40 laps. We may come a couple laps earlier than that. And then I'll get in, I'll do about the same, and then Klaus will finish, hopefully.
Doc Bundy, who predicted at the top of the program that they would be the winners today. Klaus Ludwig of Bonn, Germany, continues to have the advantage over the Porsche 962, being driven by Al Holbert currently, and Derek Bell to take over in lap traffic coming down into turn number 1. Klaus Ludwig leading in this Charlotte Grand Prix. Tremendous crowd out in the infield through the grandstands here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where next week it'll be the home of the World 600.
While we were talking to Doc Bundy there, we saw the number 10 Chevrolet March spin out as it went into the infield, but he didn't hit anything. He backed it out of the grass and drove off, and he's up and running again now. There we see the leader coming up to lap the Jim Downing car, the Jim Downing Mazda engine Camel Light car.
And that car of Downing's is currently third in the Camel Light. It is still car number 6 leading in that category. Charles Morgan from Conway, Arkansas, and Bill Alsop from Woodstock, Vermont, leading in the Camel Light series. The second place car is Young and Jeff Klein, and Jim Downing is maintaining the third position.
Did you say he came from Woodstock, Vermont?
Indeed he did. He's a good Green Mountaineer.
There we see the leader. He doesn't come from Woodstock, Vermont. He comes from Germany, a very accomplished young man, incredibly good looking, looks like a racing driver should look. And just right now he's doing
what a racing driver look.
Well, he should look like Derek Bell, I suppose, nauseating. And he's Klaus Ludwig's about the same, pretty nauseating.
31 of 183 laps complete.
But he keeps on putting his wheel on the infield there. I don't understand it. I'm sure he doesn't have to do it unless the handling calls for him to cut that corner a bit tight to make the infield there, because that's the sort of thing that can knock the edge off the rim of the wheel, let the tire down, and then of course you lose the race. There's the number 10 car that we saw spinning earlier on, just coming in for a brief check, I guess. Maybe he had a flat tire. Maybe that's why he spun. Yes, they're going to the left front. They're going to change the left front tire.
The number 10
and
car,
rear.
Jimmy Leeward, an aviator who still plans to set some records in aviation with a P-51 Mustang before this year is over. This car number 10 now lying down there on pit road. And here we are back with the leader another time as we work the 32nd lap. Klaus Ludwig in first, Holbert in second, Redmond Haywood the combination for third, and the other Jaguar backs him up. Bob Tullius in the 44, then Halsmer and Morton. The BF Goodrich Porsche 962 runs fifth. Paul and Adam in the number 45 have run up into sixth. From dead last has come the Jim Adam car, that Buick V6, thundering up through the field and hoping to go the distance of 500 kilometers, 310 miles today. That's all. We have a spinning car just into turn number 1. One of the Leon brothers has looped his car, number 22.
What a surprise.
There he is, lying there just inside of turn number 1, car number 22. And that is the Chevy March of the Leon twins from Texas.
Not a good spot to be at all. Mind you, they're getting good warning from that yellow flag waved by the marshal. And the marshalling here, very high standard in the United States. I don't know whether he stalled. There's the Jaguar swooping by, both of them. Oh, he wants a push. Obviously, he must have stalled the car. It looks to me like he might have broken that rear wing, too. It's hard to tell from here, but it looks a bit like that left corner of the rear wing's a bit deranged. He obviously wants a push. He had his hand out the window waving. Obviously, none of the marshals are too keen on getting out the road there and pushing because they know they're just around the corner. People coming into the corner can't see them. There they go now. Give him a hand.
Getting him away, Al Leon, number 22 out of Texas.
Wing looks all right.
We'll be back with more of the Charlotte Grand Prix from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina, live on the Superstation after these messages. Hey, live on Superstation WTVS, you're watching the Ford Probe, probing this 500-kilometer race for the first victory for this ultimate prototype sports racing car. Klaus Ludwig of Bonn, Germany is in front. Porsches are running in the second and now in the fifth positions. The Jaguars are running in third and fourth. Their big V12s rolling right along. Here is car number 45. That is that Buick that went all the way to dead last, making up time. Adam in the Buick March is up into sixth position. Car number 45 as it continues to charge, and it is closing at this time on Halsmer in car number 68, the BF Goodrich car. There could be a challenge for fifth position in the next few laps.
There we see young Bill Hamilton, Bill Adam from Hamilton, Ontario. He's a very good driver. They often put him in the car first because he's slightly more conservative than John Paul, and obviously the thing in this car and team is to try and finish a race, as is the car we see in the picture there, the number 7 Ford Probe, which is desperate to finish a race, let alone win one.
To Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center.
Again, as we work the mid-30 lap range here in a 138 lap race, we should be coming up on the first of the scheduled pit stops, and among the leaders, our information is that the fifth place car will probably be the first in. We're expecting an early driver change as Pete Halsmer comes out and John Morton goes into the number 68 machine. Look for the leading Ford Probe to stop on about lap 40, so they should be the second car in. Strategy-wise, we're looking for a charge from the two BFG Porsches. They're both running very strong. They say they're not running the turbo boost low in order to conserve fuel. They are charging, and they're currently running fifth and down here in seventh position. Likewise, we're looking for a 40-lap range pit stop on the two Jaguars that are currently running fourth and fifth, and the conservative car out there, surprisingly enough, perhaps is in second place. Holbert says they'll try to go the race on one fuel stop. They're currently in second spot with the Probe stopping early. These guys are in the driver's seat for the moment.
In the National Basketball Association, end of period one, Philadelphia is back in it. They're leading Boston 31-16. Philadelphia 31 over the Celtics 16 at the end of period number one in NBA action. We'll update you on that throughout the afternoon. Live, you're watching here on Superstation WTVS, a battle for the lead as car number 14 pulls up and takes a shot. Once again, closing ground is Al Holbert in that number 14 Porsche 962, closing on the Ford, but not getting by on that long back straightaway.
But he has to back off as he goes into the bank. If you watch closely, the back of the Porsche, you see a long flame come out. This is a sign that the guy has lifted his foot, and I don't see the same flame coming out of this 711 car of Klaus Ludwig. It may be that that car is a little bit better suited in that banking, but Al lifted out there. You can see the same effect there as he lifted out going through that corner, and that lost in the lead. He was definitely making a chance for the lead, but couldn't carry it through on that banking. And I think one of his reasons is being very conservative with his tires. He just does not want to have a tire problem on that banking, because at nearly 200 miles an hour, it could be disastrous.
Working the 38th lap here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Charlotte Grand Prix. Ludwig stays in front. Here they are back on the banking once again, and let's see what Al Holbert will do in trying to overtake the Ford Probe. The Jaguar team running third and fourth are just about 30 seconds back from the leader at this time. He's not taking a shot at him this time as they come through the banking.
No, he pulled out quite a bit of a lead on that lap. Maybe Al just had a go, decided he couldn't quite do it, and just decided to play real safe and stay in that second spot. Now, if Al Holbert only has to make one fuel stop, that'll be just incredible in this race. But he seems to have got the lock on fuel consumption on this Porsche engine, and it does make a tremendous difference. A fuel stop costs a lot of time.
4 miles per gallon. Notice on this number 14 that intercooler right up over the top of the car instead of further back as it is, for instance, on the Aiken car number 5, which is the way they're originally built. That seems to get the air in a little faster. It gets into the turbocharger. And he says it runs at about 2 degrees centigrade cooler. And he says 1 centigrade, this is Al Holbert, runs at about 10 horsepower more.
Now then, our man in the pits, Dave Despain, was telling us what a charge the BF Goodrich cars are making, and in fact, they're just, one of them's just being put a lap down there by the Ford, and Al Holbert's about to do the same to him. Here we see the picture from inside that Goodrich car, which is Jim Busby's car, and he's about to be put a lap down by Al Holbert.
There were many saying this morning that this car, either of the cars, the BF Goodrich team, were real potentials to win before the afternoon was over. This 16-inch tire they have might be the one that could finally bring it off.
Well, it could be, but Goodyear have got years and years of experience in making racing tires, and I think on a banked circuit like this, you need to have the best tires you've got available, and maybe the Goodrich cars aren't quite there yet, but that's a good shot from inside that car of Jim Busby's, and we see Al Holbert just about to not nail him in the infield, but trying hard to. There you see those flames, those telltale flames coming out the back of those turbocharged cars. Oh, there's a spin. There's a spin up in the high bank at the north end. It's the number 10 Chevrolet March. We've already seen it in the pits once.
Jimmy Leeward's car has spun and come to rest just coming out of turn number 4 of the Super Speedway.
Now this will bring the caution flag out that Bill Adams so desperately needs to fetch that 45 seconds back. There we see Jimmy Leeward sitting in the car. I don't think he'll be hurt, but the car is definitely second hand.
Caution is out around the track for car number 10. This is the Chevy March, the old Bobby Rahal, Jim Truman car. Pace car is coming out. The car that ran at Le Mans and set on the pole back in 1983 at Daytona and Sebring lies in the center of turn number 8 of the road course. Jimmy Leeward having trouble as he tries to break into racing. Well-known aviator, holds some records and wants to go for a couple more. Trying this summer to break the 500-mile-an-hour barrier.
There's the leader coming into the pits. The leader's coming into the pits, but also Bill Adams already been in the pits and is changing driver. And John Paul Jr. is about to go out. Here we see the driver change on the Ford Probe. Are they making the change?
Let's go to the pits.
Ludwig getting out.
Okay, Doc Bundy's getting in the car now. Klaus looks getting out. They're hooking up the hoses. Klaus has got one of those cool helmets on that keeps the driver's head cool. He had to unhook all that paraphernalia to get Doc into the car. We've got to get Doc hooked up to the same paraphernalia because he's suffering from the heat as well. Now Al Holbert's parked just in front of him. Al's in and out, and he's already made his pit stop. Derek Bell did not get in the car, so there's no driver change on Al Holbert's car. He remains in there. Everybody is on pit road now. Both the BFG cars right behind the leading Ford. Doc Bundy getting all strapped up now. They're cleaning the windshield. They made the tire changes. Everything looks to be in order. There's nothing wrong with the car. Everything's being locked up. The doors are shut. The engine's on. He's being pushed away there. There he goes.
There you can hear the sound of that little 4-cylinder. This is the Probe is a 4-cylinder inline engine. Popping and banging just a little bit there.
It stopped once and then they refired it as they pushed it off.
Because it hasn't got very good torque right at the bottom end like the bigger engines have. There he goes. There goes the 67 car, the Busby car. That, of course, has a 6-cylinder flat 6-cylinder engine, so a lot more torque low down.
And with the caution car on the course, a major advantage for this Buick V6 to put it right back up in the hunt again, David.
Absolutely. We missed the pit stop on Bill Adam and John Paul, but they left the pits right behind Al Holbert. And I guess the pace car should, in fact, pick up Holbert as the leader. And it hasn't. Of course, it's picked up the Jaguars as the leader. The Jaguars are now the leaders because they didn't make a stop. There we see the Jaguars right behind the pace car.
That's Bob Tullius' number 44 that stays up in front, and Hurley Haywood in second. Here's Chris Economack.
I'm down here with in the Ford Pro pit. Lee Morris, the Ford team manager, talking to Klaus. Klaus, a nice job out there. That last-minute arrival on the grid, was it any problem for you?
No, not at all. I'm more or less used to that, and I don't think it affects my driving.
And what about the car itself? Is it as ready as you wanted it to be?
Yeah. It should. Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
The car, that last-minute engine change, was everything that had to be done?